Jennifer Schuett is an 8-year-old girl who bravely stood against the adversities of life. One night, she suddenly woke up to face a harsh reality. She was kidnapped and attacked by an assailant, ultimately resulting in the loss of her ability to speak. This incident occurred during her childhood and brought significant challenges. However, Jennifer's story is an example of the power of hope and resilience. Despite her limitations and loss of speech, her writing and accurate description of the attacker helped investigators uncover the truth and achieve justice. Years later, advancements in DNA analysis technology reopened what seemed to be a forgotten case, revealing the secret of Dennis Earl Bradford, the individual responsible for this crime. In the middle of the night on August 9, 1990, around 2:30 a.m., Ellen, Jennifer's mother, asked her to sleep in her room that night because Jennifer was kicking her in her sleep. Despite Jennifer's disinterest in sleeping alone and in the dark, preferring to sleep next to her mother, she told her, "Just because I love you, Mom, I'll sleep in my room tonight." She went to her room, read a little, and then fell asleep. As it was warm, Jennifer opened her window slightly, which unfortunately led to a terrible event. She was startled awake by an unexpected occurrence. Shortly after, still groggy from sleep, she felt her body being moved and shaken. She woke up in the arms of an unknown man. As she attempted to scream, the stranger covered her mouth and nose to prevent her from making noise and ran away from Jennifer's home. Jennifer tried to free herself, but being only 8 years old, she lacked the strength to fight the man off. When the stranger saw Jennifer struggling and trying to escape, he attempted to calm her by saying, "Everything is okay. I am an undercover police officer, you need to be calm." He then headed towards a vehicle, placing Jennifer on his lap as he drove, ensuring she couldn't escape. Jennifer, still a child, knew she was being kidnapped and felt an overwhelming sense of fear and terror, so much so that she urinated on herself and the man. She wanted to trust the man's words, believing that police were good people, but she had also learned not to trust strangers and felt something was wrong. After some time driving, Jennifer gradually realized she had been kidnapped, a realization that terrified her. To further calm her, the man drove to Jennifer's elementary school parking lot and stopped there. He began talking to Jennifer and offered her chocolate, which she refused, remembering she was always told not to accept candy from strangers. He told her he would wait until the sun rose and her mother came to get her. During their conversation, the man shared strange details about Jennifer's family, saying things like, "Your dad loves you more than your mom," making Jennifer wonder if the man might be an acquaintance who knew her family and if, perhaps, her mother was indeed coming to rescue her. Jennifer anxiously awaited rescue while the man smoked cigarettes and drank alcohol, seemingly preparing himself for something. Then the man said, "It doesn't seem like your mother is coming," and started the car, heading towards a farm. Jennifer, who was a smart and curious child, and this time her curiosity would serve her well, began asking the man questions, somewhat interrogating him. She asked, "Aren't you a policeman? Then where are your gun and badge?" The man was shocked and didn't expect the 8-year-old girl he had kidnapped to be so inquisitive. He said he didn't have his badge with him but had a very big gun on the back seat. Jennifer leaned over to see the gun, but despite being smart, she couldn't escape the situation the man had planned for her. At that moment, something happened that led to Jennifer's unconsciousness, which we can't talk much about. When Jennifer regained consciousness, she found herself barefoot and being dragged across a field, with stones and thorns embedding into her skin. Jennifer tried to scream and cry out from the pain, but she didn't know where it was coming from and couldn't understand why she couldn't scream. She realized that playing dead might be her only chance of survival, feeling it could be an opportunity for escape. The man who had kidnapped her left her on top of an anthill, but these were not ordinary ants. Their bites were very painful and could incapacitate a strong adult. Jennifer saw the man slowly moving away from her. Afterward, she woke up to the sunrise, unbelieving that she was still alive. She tried to scream again but couldn't, wondering why. Despite her weakness and lack of strength, she managed to touch her neck and realized her hand was covered in blood. It seemed the man had slit her throat, damaging her vocal cords. At that moment, Jennifer passed out again, but the ants kept her awake by biting her, which somehow stopped the bleeding. As the sun rose, Jennifer could hear cars passing on the road but couldn't call out for help. Eventually, she accepted her death, finding some peace in the thought that her pain would end, hoping she wouldn't wake up again. The next day, Jennifer's mother entered her room after waking up, noticed her daughter's absence in the open window, and immediately knew something bad had happened. After realizing this, she asked all the neighbors, but no one had seen Jennifer since the day before. She immediately informed the police, and Jennifer's mother was certain that someone had kidnapped her daughter. The police began searching for Jennifer immediately. They first tried to find clues in Jennifer's room, realizing the window played a role in this story, but found no fingerprints. At that time, the city of Dickinson, where Jennifer lived, was newly established and small, with only one detective for criminal cases. Despite its small size and police force, crime was prevalent in Dickinson. Therefore, a helicopter was sent from a nearby city to assist in finding Jennifer. Around 6:30 p.m. that day, the police received a call from parents whose children had stumbled upon a body while playing near the city. It turned out that the place where Jennifer was dying was a popular play area for some children, and being close to their school and their constant play there led to Jennifer's discovery. Upon arrival and identifying the body as Jennifer's, she was immediately airlifted to the hospital with a helicopter that had come from a nearby city. Jennifer's injuries were severe, and her condition was critical, making her survival seem almost impossible. Her throat was severely damaged. Upon regaining consciousness, she could move her body but was numb from fear. Her voice box was also completely damaged, and the doctors knew that even if she survived, she wouldn't be able to speak for the rest of her life. Her behavior changed drastically, and she lost trust in others, including the police and doctors, especially fearing men. Whenever she didn't want to speak to the police, they would tell her, "Don't be afraid, we're the police," but since the last person who said that to her had attacked her, it was hard for her to trust. Every time a male doctor entered her room, she tried to scream and hide from him, but she couldn't move, and once even kicked one of the male doctors. After that, it was decided that only female doctors and nurses would care for Jennifer. Her psychological state was severely damaged, and she couldn't speak directly to police officers. The only thing that improved Jennifer's mood was the arrest of the man, not for revenge, but to ensure he couldn't harm another girl. Despite her psychological state, she wrote down her information and messages, handing them to her mother to pass to the police. Jennifer was also very detailed in describing the events, which could help the police significantly. Since Jennifer was only an 8-year-old child with limited reading and writing ability, the police had little hope of obtaining testimony through writing, which was disappointing because Jennifer was the only living witness. However, Jennifer surprised everyone by starting to write everything down. She wrote, "I only remember his name. He said his name is Dennis. I remember he said there might be a scar or something on his face." Jennifer also wrote down the brand of cigarettes and the type of beverage cans, and described the car in complete detail, from the colors to the sidelines and other details she remembered. You could even see her writings, which had spelling errors but still detailed all the events. For days after Jennifer was hospitalized to utilize her memories in a way that would be beneficial for research, the police employed a sketch artist. Jennifer had the task of describing the suspect's face using only her notes, without speaking a word. Eventually, they managed to create an accurate depiction of the man. He even asked Jennifer to describe his car, which she did, and the artist managed to draw a picture of the man's car as well. However, the police failed to find definitive evidence or a clear lead, other than a few pieces of clothing belonging to Jennifer and the attacker on a farm. Jennifer was very angry and upset about her inability to speak, but then a miracle occurred. Weak sounds and moans were heard from her mouth. This shocked everyone, as her vocal cords were damaged, and doctors never expected her to be able to produce sound again, yet her condition improved. The day after this incident, Jennifer was able to speak comfortably, which was a great miracle that they still couldn't find a scientific reason for. Another medical miracle was that Jennifer was discharged from the hospital just 2 weeks after being admitted. A year later, Jennifer returned to school and normal life, but this did not mean life was easy for her. After the incident, the entire small town of Dickinson tried to find the attacker, as there was a sense of danger for the entire community. The police deployed security forces in the schoolyards and inside classrooms, and families kept their children close to them and away from doors and windows for a long time. As time passed and the case grew cold, the police lost their resources, which was very disappointing. 18 years went by without any progress in the case, but the incident always remained in Jennifer's mind, and she no longer wanted to stay home alone. Despite the years passing, the identity of the attacker remained unknown, and Jennifer only thought about finding him. She lived her entire life in fear of the man returning, who had dealt the biggest blow in her life. Jennifer's case was passed between officers multiple times, and every time it happened, Jennifer felt like she was starting over. In the meantime, a call from Team Cromie came, announcing his decision to take on the case and requesting a meeting with Jennifer. However, Jennifer had almost no hope left for the police to solve the case, thinking it would go the same as before. Both Team Cromie and Jennifer were excited about the meeting, and Jennifer was also very upset and angry because the previous detective had worked on the case for 10 years without any progress, and Jennifer felt that nothing would happen this time either. Therefore, the moment they saw each other, Jennifer started crying. Team Cromie told her, "Jennifer, I will do everything in my power to find the answers you need for this case, until the end of my career." This statement was so comforting that Jennifer believed him and decided to trust someone else once again. This promise changed Jennifer's life and confronted her with new hope. Jennifer says, "I wanted to participate in solving my own case. I wanted to help because I was the only living witness." He contacted an FBI officer named Richard Renson and requested an analysis of pieces of clothing found 18 years ago because science had advanced significantly over 18 years, which could greatly assist the case. However, this analysis took a year to complete. In the middle of the night, the phone of FBI Inspector Renson rang. The call was from a DNA lab announcing a match with the obtained DNA. His name is Dennis Earl Bradford. The inspector, surprised, asked, "Who is Dennis?" as this name had not been mentioned in any of the reports before. At the same time, it was a very exciting phone call, meaning they had found a match, and the person was there. Immediately, the inspector called Tim Cromie. Detective Cromie, like the inspector, says, "Who is Dennis Earl Bradford?" They discovered that Dennis Earl Bradford had been convicted in 1997 for kidnapping in Hot Springs, Arkansas, and also for sexually assaulting a woman. Bradford was sent to prison. And it was exactly from that sexual assault that his DNA was placed in the national database, which eventually matched with the evidence provided. In 1987, he was arrested in Dickinson, and because of this arrest, they could find his home address at the time Jennifer was attacked, and surprisingly, Dennis's home was exactly across from Jennifer and her mother's house in such a way that Dennis's house could be seen from Jennifer and her mother's window. Also, Dennis once forcefully took a woman into his car at a bar under the guise of taking her home, but then tried to do the same things he did to Jennifer, but because that woman was stronger than Jennifer, she managed to escape. With the identification of Dennis Bradford's name, the police established a connection between this name and Jennifer's notes, where she had written, "His name is Dennis." The fact that Jennifer, despite her terrifying experience, had been able to remember his name was of great importance. The police were able to obtain a photo of Dennis's driving license, taken just a few months before the incident, which was strikingly similar to the description Jennifer had provided. Even the police said that it was one of the most accurate facial composite images they had seen in their careers. An 8-year-old Jennifer had drawn this image just 4 days after the attack on her. Even Dennis's girlfriend provided a photo of Dennis in the same blue car Jennifer had described, and it was exactly like the car Jennifer had described. After hearing the name, Tim Cromie found all the information needed to arrest Dennis within 2 weeks, and as soon as the warrant was obtained, Dennis was quickly arrested. Jennifer, upon learning of his arrest, described this as the most surreal experience of her life and was not at all afraid to see Dennis. She was completely happy. Inspector Renison says they were most eager to obtain a confession to ensure that Dennis would be convicted in court. They quickly proceeded to extract a confession from Dennis.
You ever heard the name Jennifer Schuett?
Yes.
Did you ever have occasion to come in contact with her?
Yes.
Tell me about that.
No. My whole life for the past 20 years has been utterly and completely because of my mistake.
I can tell, obviously, it's special, but I think you would, if you were to see her, I think you would be extremely proud of her. I really do.
Oh, thank you. She's alive.
She's alive.
She's alive.
She's alive. Let me tell you, she is a incredible young.
Oh, God. Oh, God. Well, you have no idea how hard I have prayed for that. I'm a firm believer of Christ. But I had no idea. Because it wasn't but about 2 days later I ran. And I just took off.
He confessed that the car belonged to his mother and that Jennifer had urinated on his car, after which he took it to a car wash. Also, after this incident, he decided never to grow a mustache again, possibly to remain unrecognizable so that no one could find him. He confessed that the attack was completely accidental and not premeditated, deciding to do it after seeing Jennifer's window open. After the incident, he even considered suicide several times and, because of the injuries he inflicted on himself in these attempts, was hospitalized at the same time as Jennifer, which was very odd. Jennifer only wanted one thing from Tim Cromie, for Dennis to be brought to trial. She was eager to express everything she had wanted to tell Dennis over these 20 years on the day of the trial and asked the authorities to prevent him from committing suicide, saying she had spent all these years recalling all the memories she had so she could say what she wanted to Dennis in court. She even visits the ground where the incident happened every now and then to revisit her memories, and since that incident, the grass on this ground has been kept short to prevent an incident like what happened to Jennifer from occurring again. However, the trial never took place because Dennis was moved to solitary confinement following a psychologist's advice and immediately committed suicide after the transfer. Jennifer felt that all her efforts were in vain after hearing this news. But on August 10, 2010, Jennifer went to Dennis's grave and said all she had wanted to tell him. Dennis Bradford, I waited 19 years to find your name. I waited for you to be arrested. You picked the wrong 8-year-old girl, weighing 45 pounds, to kill because, for these 19 years, I thought of you every day and helped in your arrest. And in my heart, I knew you were out there. Alive, whether in prison or out. But I knew all these years you were living with this lie and what you did to me, and now I know my heart was right.